This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How we doing today on this Thursday, November the 14th? This is the Joe Gaither Show right here on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. Welcome into the Bama Central YouTube channel. We appreciate everybody who's watching us, subscribe to us on the channel. We appreciate everybody who's listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Amazon. The Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Sorry, you had a little busy day yesterday, and really was getting after it on the recruiting front. Mason Woods writing all kinds of things, and we're joined, as always, by our friend Mason Woods. You can follow Mason at MAWoods_. We're going to have a lot of fun hanging out with you today in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. We got a lot of different topics to get into, and I cannot wait to do that with you. Before we do, we want to tell you about Derek Daniel and his friends right here, Red Reese and Victoria, manning the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. You can call them today, 205-758-3391 for all your insurance needs. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. Mason Woods, welcome back. How are we doing? You wrote your little fingers off yesterday. You doing okay?
Yeah, doing good. It was a nice busy day in my neck of the woods on the recruiting trail for everybody, all the sites that I write for, Miami, Missouri, Bama, Boston College. So, bit of an unfortunate day for the Crimson Tide, but we'll get into that a little bit later on the show. But overall, good day.
Absolutely. So happy Thursday and welcome back in. I felt like, okay, we gave him a double episode on Monday. If you didn't hear that, you can hear over 2 hours of content on the LSU. Well, almost 2 hours of content on the LSU game from Monday. And then we also talked about basketball, Alabama's basketball game from Monday on Tuesday. But hump day's over. And we got to get on to the weekend, and it is a big weekend ahead. Alabama basketball hitting the road, getting in the caravan, getting the charter buses. No, just kidding. These guys are flying high class. But you might be hitting the charter buses, getting up to Indiana, Purdue, taking on Big Ten favorites. We'll hear from Coach Nato. It's here in just a little bit. I want to talk about several topics. I want to talk about that game just a hair. We'll save a lot of it for tomorrow after we hear from Coach Nato. Let's hear some comments about kind of their thoughts. But today I want to talk, Mason, about one of the people that you wrote about. Caleb Cunningham announces his decision to decommit from Alabama to Ole Miss.
Yeah. This is something we maybe all thought was coming. I wanted to believe it wasn't true, but it did officially happen yesterday. He's unfortunately going to be going to the SIP, or staying in the SIP, rather.
Transferred to the SIP in Mississippi State. You're still left out. He lives like, what, 30, 40 minutes away from Starkville.
He didn't even consider them.
And I think he did consider, but not as much. I think they were definitely third in the list. And I wonder, how much money did Lane Kiffin get after beating Georgia, saying, this is working. We'll up your budget just a little bit. And whatever that budget bump that Lane Kiffin got, he immediately got on the phone with Caleb Cunningham. Actually, Caleb Cunningham was at the Georgia Ole Miss game, so maybe he didn't have to get on the phone. He just had to walk on over and say, hey, buddy, I just got a big old NIL bump. You want some of that? You want a percentage of that? Come on, stay in the SIP.
Lane better hope that there's enough to go around for some quarterback love too. Auburn commit Deuce Knight was also at Ole Miss for that game, and things are maybe trending the Rebels' direction there also.
I think Deuce Knight is a real player.
I think he's very, very good. I was was not super stoked to see him flip from Notre Dame to Auburn.
Yeah,
what, about a month and a half ago, 2 months, something like that, but.
I wonder what Auburn's paying him, or has promised him at least. But I think he's a real quarterback.
He's very good. He's very talented. Auburn is they're in an interesting spot. Looking at next year, you got maybe some interesting transfer quarterbacks that are going to be on the market. I know yesterday Thomas Castellanos from Boston College.
Please do
abruptly leaves the program.
Please do that.
He was good at the beginning of the year, but definitely has struggled the last probably, I would say, 4 or 5 games maybe. But the first few games of the year, he was looking good, and maybe that's the route Hugh Freeze decides to take.
Please take that route
as a plea to save his job for the last year.
Okay, hypothetically, Castellanos comes to Auburn. Is that any better than Peyton Thorne?
I mean, I think it's probably better than Peyton Thorne. I think he does give you at least a little more as a runner than Thorne does.
Yes, for
I think
sure.
Thorne is a talented runner, and people probably don't give him quite enough credit for it. But Castellanos is a good running quarterback. He just struggles in a lot of the other aspects, I think.
Yeah, I think if you were the other 15 SEC schools, you are saying, yes, Auburn, please take Thomas Castellanos out of the transfer portal in a month and a half or so, whenever that gets going. So you lose Caleb Cunningham yesterday out of the Alabama class of 2025.
He wants to go be the next Ryan Williams, he said.
Yeah, okay. We want to go represent, put on for my home state. Are we fretting? I've kind of passed off the recruiting responsibilities to you at Bama Central. Not that I'm not paying attention. We absolutely are. But I would say of course you want a talented player. Yeah. But you follow Caleb Cunningham's recruitment and we talked about this during the summer when he was making official visits. Every single time he would go to a school, whether it was Auburn, he did it at Tennessee, he obviously did it here at Alabama, he did it at Mississippi State. He would go take a visit, and he would come away on that Saturday, Sunday, and reporters like they do, like we always do. Hey, how'd your visit go? Oh, that was the best visit of my life. They're my new #1 school.
Yeah, I mean. When he committed to Alabama, it was, I'm 1,000% committed. So
right. And so just from a talent standpoint, I think, yes, it is a guy that you wanted in the class. But you look at the wide receiver room right now, and you are still feeling really look, I can't keep up with this. Is Jeremy a junior? Jeremy's a redshirt junior,
I believe he is.
And Kobe is as well, right?
So you're still looking pretty good. I mean, and there's still another very talented receiver in this recruiting class for Alabama, Lotsier Brooks.
Oh my gosh!
And he's a different receiver.
That's
than
the most
Cunningham
underrated player in the Alabama class.
Bingo, right there. This guy. If you have not taken the time out of your day to look him up online and try to find some of his highlights, go do it today, right after you finish listening to this show. He is absolutely electric.
Disgusting.
He is going to be a freak in this offense.
You liked the Ryan Williams highlights in high school. It's like that, except for New Jersey. And obviously you can poo-poo on New Jersey all you want, but those kids are out there trying to tackle him, and he is running away from all of them all the time. He is an electric player. I'm trying to, you talked to me about this. Was this on air or off air about these college websites being broken?
Oh, this was off air. This is our, and I don't want to share it with the people too much, but this is our $1 billion idea.
Now I'm finally at the wide receivers on the troll side.
And I don't know what company it is. I know it's one company that handles the vast majority of college athletics websites, but they are just atrocious. You can't move your mouse around the screen without hitting some drop down menu somewhere. You can't click on anything without it freezing. So that's our we gotta figure out how to fix those websites, and that's our $1 billion idea right there, because they are terrible.
So what I'm noticing looking at rolltide.com and looking at the Alabama wide receiver room is not a single player that will be out of eligibility at the end of the year. Now, of course, you got to contend with the transfer portal, and I'm not going to mention names of people who could be in the transfer portal. You can figure that out yourself. I'm not going to mention names because I don't like putting that juju out there. We will put that out there when they get in the portal. Obviously, look, somebody's going in the portal from the wide receiver.
It's just football now.
You're in a point where you could kind of pick and choose. You're bringing in lots of Brooks. There's like 2 wide receivers now, right? Oh my gosh, I cannot think of another one, but there is another wide receiver in the class. I think there's 2. I think Cunningham was the second.
We've got Marshall Pritchett, the tight end, that committed about a month ago, maybe less than that.
Yeah, well, why don't we just pull it up here? Not Keelan Russell, obviously. Michael Carroll.
Caleb Edwards, another tight end.
Am I just making this up? Lotsier Brooks, they're right there. Yep, he's the only one. I just made that up. Okay, you bring in Lotsier Brooks, but you really look at the class that you brought in this past year, the 24s. The Amari Jefferson hasn't hit the field yet. Arian Bubba Hampton hasn't hit the field yet. Caleb Odom's barely cracking the lineup. You got Ryan Williams. Like you got a really loaded, and I didn't even say Rico Scott. You got a really loaded 2024 class that came in behind you. I'm not
You're
like,
looking okay.
yeah, it's sad to lose Cunningham. You
Always.
don't want to lose talent, especially if they're staying in the SEC.
Mhm.
You're going to have to contend with him more than likely.
I mean, I imagine, Alabama, they will be playing Ole Miss within the next, probably next season, maybe the season
not
after.
next year, but the year after.
So right when Cunningham potentially starts
his
to find his
sophomore
role
year.
in the offense.
Right. But you still got Jeremy, Kobe, Emmanuel Henderson, all those guys still have eligibility if they want to stay at the capstone. Cole Adams. So like you're loaded at wide receiver.
There's a plethora of talent on this offense. They're not going to miss Cunningham as much as as flashy as a player as he is and as big as the name is on the recruiting trail. They're not really going to miss him too much, I don't think.
Let's move into the other rumor. This has not happened yet, but it seems like it's inevitable. Dawson Merritt, outside linebacker out of Kansas, has been teasing a flip back to Nebraska. He was uncommitted the whole time. He committed to Alabama in the summer, I believe. It was always between Alabama and Nebraska. He comes on an official visit weekend and commits to Alabama. I think Nebraska has stayed hot on his trail, and I would imagine teased him with a lot of money. Nebraska having a stronger season last I checked. I haven't really paid close attention to them.
They've fallen off a bit.
I know they played Ohio State close. They still, and Dylan Raiola looked good early. What you got them at? 6-4, terrible year. I just made all that up
right now. Yeah, they started strong and fell off pretty hard. After that Colorado game, was that they kind of I think that was where they kind of put it all out there, and it was like, they can't recreate it. So. But, again, it's Nebraska, so it's a classic college football brand. There is going to be the support. All the money is there behind Nebraska. And I think maybe have done enough this year. Maybe Dylan Raiola showed enough to those boosters that, okay, we can believe in the Cornhuskers a little bit and start throwing some money around. So, maybe that's going to be what lures Dawson Merritt to Nebraska. We will see, though. He's a very talented player.
Yeah, I would not. That's one that I would like to see you keep.
Yeah.
You're going to lose Quindarius Robinson. Obviously you lost him now for the rest of the year, but you're going to lose him. He's not going to be available next year. He's out of eligibility. Your other Wolves, Clay Russaw moving into his redshirt sophomore year next year. You're going to have Yanzi Pierre. You're going to have Jayshon Ross. Yanzi moving into a redshirt sophomore as well. No, he'll
be a redshirt fresh. No,
yeah. He redshirted his freshman year, so he and Clay, I think, are in the same class, maybe.
Either way, they still
got
have
young Wolves.
There.
You need more depth there. You're gonna have to find some more depth
because if those guys are gonna be leaving the program,
what's gonna happen with Keanu Coat?
That's another. Yeah.
So, we haven't talked about that at all, have we?
No. Ooh.
Yeah, it's a good little pivot point. Keanu Coat, currently suspended, was not on the LSU trip. And according to Kane Womack, will not be with the team at least this week. Kalen DeBoer on Monday, really keeping it short and simple and sweet.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, he's currently suspended. Not going to get into how long, but he's currently not with the team. That was pretty much the statement. I might have paraphrased that, but it was basically three sentences.
I see the clip here, and it's only a 20-second clip, so he didn't say a whole lot about it.
Yeah, it was very, very. So I have no idea what he has done, whether it's I didn't show up on time, or maybe it's a more serious deal. I have no idea.
Yeah, there's really no way to know. This is something that Nick Saban also kind of did when he would suspend players mysteriously. It was just this player suspended, and we're going to handle it the way we're going to handle it. So, we'll see what happens. I would imagine, hopefully he's back by the Auburn game, surely, but we will see.
You never know at this point with college football. If you suspend a kid, is he just going to pack it in for the year and say, I'm going into the portal? So, again, it makes all that to say, it makes Dawson Merritt, I think, a much more important.
Yeah, I think that's a more impactful loss on the recruiting trail if that does go through, within the next week or so, because we have early signing day football coming up in the next about month and a half, something like that. So that's going to be a tough one. I think Alabama needs to be.
They can repush.
Yes, Alabama needs to be trying hard to make sure he stays committed to the capstone.
All right, so I know we really just jumped right into the recruiting talk and the recent headlines. Here's what we're going to do the rest of the show. Next, I'm going to tell you about Purple Turtle Roofing. But when we finish with that, we're going to talk about the college football playoff rankings that happened on Tuesday night, as they looked a little odd. Alabama still in, which that's the main thing for us. The main thing that we're focused on. Alabama going to an interesting place as well. We'll talk about the college football playoff rankings. Then we'll talk about who's better. Yeah, what a loaded question. Who's better, Keon Sabb or Bray Hubbard?
That's very hard to answer.
We'll then talk about Mercer thoughts. I spent some time watching a little bit of Mercer. I didn't do a deep dive on them because, come on, they're in the FCS. This is a bye game, but we'll talk just a little bit about them and the piece that I wrote on BamaCentral.com this morning, and then we will finish with our 3 players to watch. Sound like a plan, Mason Woods?
Let's do it.
All right, so first, let's tell everybody about our friends, Purple Turtle Roofing. They're the most reliable residential roof replacement company in Alabama and Mississippi. Whether it's addressing leaks, storm damage, or general wear and tear, Purple Turtle Roofing is going to be there to deliver exceptional roof repair for your property. Purple Turtle Roofing is the leading expert in local residential roofing solutions, specializing in providing unparalleled service and quality craftsmanship for all your roof replacement needs. Call Dustin Foley and his team today at 877-PT-ROOF-5. That's 877-787-6635 to schedule your free appointment, and one of their qualified employees will come check out your roof for free and make sure you're prepared for any and all of life's storms. We love free stuff, Mason Woods, and our friends can check them out at roofturtle.com. Okay, Tuesday came and went. Another college football playoff poll has come and gone. Number 1, Oregon. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Texas. Number 4, Penn State. Number 5, Indiana. Number 6, BYU. Number 7, Tennessee. Number 8, Notre Dame. Number 9, Miami. Number 10, Alabama. Number 11, Ole Miss. Number 12, Georgia. Number 13, Boise State. And number 14, SMU.
Weird rankings. What are we doing here? Someone explain to me how we get here.
Wasn't Georgia at 4 last week? 3 last week?
What?
Wasn't Georgia at 3 or 4 last week?
Yes, I think they were 3rd. Might have been 2nd.
Week 10. They were 3rd.
That's an insane drop. I don't understand what we're doing here.
Georgia drops from 3 to 12.
Yeah,
right. Miami drops from 4 to 9. Georgia loses on the road to a top 15 team, now a top 12 team. Miami loses. Was that Georgia Tech game at home or on the road? I think it was on the road.
It was on the road.
To an unranked Georgia Tech team.
Yeah. And then so you're gonna all right, that's fine. You tell me something there. You say, okay, 2 losses to 1 loss. Georgia has 2 losses. Miami has 1. All right, cool. We're good. I read you there. But we get up here. If that's how we want to rank things based off of how many losses you have, how do we have Indiana at 5? They're 10-0. Why is Indiana not number 2? There's zero consistency to these rankings. It's just fan service. It is just this committee saying, well, let's just keep everybody happy for another week until we really have to break some hearts at the end of the year. It's just, these rankings mean nothing. These are completely useless to me. I don't even, it is nothing but an excuse for ESPN to put an hour of program on television and then for a bunch of people to argue on Twitter.
Tell me these teams are different, Mason. West Virginia, Bowling Green, Kent State, Illinois, UCLA, USC, Wisconsin, and Washington. That's pot number 1. Pot number 2, FIU, Western Illinois, UCLA, Charlotte, Maryland, Northwestern, Nebraska, Washington, Michigan State, and Michigan. Are those pots not the exact same?
Yeah,
that's the Penn State schedule. The Penn State wins. The amount of now, obviously, that you also that's not even accounting the Penn State loss to Ohio State. The wins are basically the exact same. We're gonna have one more win for Indiana.
This makes no sense. Like I said, there's just you can't draw any conclusions from these rankings. They mean nothing. There is zero consistency. They have to at some point you have to choose either. Do wins matter or do losses matter? You can't have both. Either the most important wins have to matter the most or the losses have to matter. You can't say, oh, this win matters for this team, this loss matters for this team. You have to pick one way or the other.
So let's just think from an Alabama standpoint, from an Alabama perspective. You have 2 losses. Is 10? Is that as high as they're going to let you go as long as these other teams ahead of you have just 1 or 0 losses? What if Alabama backs into the SEC championship game? Will you let them go any higher? Or will you just vault the SEC champion, whether it be Texas or Alabama, from 10-3, 10-4?
It's just
The process seems like the Texas at 3 makes no sense if we're just going.
Yeah.
We're not looking at any schedule. You got drummed by Georgia. Okay, great. 1 loss. That's not that big a deal. But you don't have really any quality wins. Not a
No.
single quality win.
Penn State.
And it's not like Indiana has a lot of quality wins either. No one has. There's not a lot of great wins out there. Obviously, Oregon over Ohio State, Alabama over Georgia, Georgia over Texas, Ole Miss over Georgia. Those are big time wins.
BYU goes out there and almost should have lost to Utah this weekend.
Yes,
and they get to sit there at 6.
Got absolutely.
They make no sense. There's zero rhyme or reason to these. I don't understand how anyone can look at these rankings and say and draw any conclusion other than that it's just to keep fans and keep people happy for a little bit longer.
Is Notre Dame's 1 loss to NIU worse? Or obviously, it's obviously better than Alabama's 2 losses at Tennessee and at Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not sure that these.
But I mean,
I'm not sure what they're using to determine other than the loss column and a little bit of like feel, just a little feel.
I just don't understand it.
We like the Penn State logo more than the Indiana and BYU
That is
logo.
all it is. There's nothing else to it.
Sure, Oregon 1, perfect. Fine.
Oregon should be number 1.
Ohio State 2, okay. Not you.
I don't love that, but sure.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, who else are you going to put there?
Indiana.
In my opinion, if I were ranking this, I think Indiana does not deserve to be that high because they still have not proven anything. They have not played anybody.
All right, well, who's the second best team in the country?
I would probably, at this point, I guess I'd keep Ohio State there. They have the win over Penn State is a decent win. I think it's overblown a bit because Penn State is overblown, but it's still a good win. Texas at 3, I dislike vehemently. You can probably slot Indiana in there at 3-4, and that's okay. I don't know. Miami, you're looking at I'm looking at 8-9. Miami, Notre Dame. Miami has a loss to Georgia Tech. Notre Dame has a loss to NIU.
I like the Miami resume better than the Notre Dame resume.
Yeah.
Don't we? I mean, let me try to get to it real quick. Let's see. Notre Dame.
They beat Texas A&M week 1?
Who's played Notre Dame? That's commonality here that I can just pop over. USC. Yeah, perfect.
Terrible.
USC. That's a commonality, right? Isn't it? Yeah, perfect. All right, so Notre Dame, their resume is win at Texas A&M, boom, huge win. Loss at home to Northern Illinois. You've got at Purdue. All the rest of these are wins. At Purdue, Miami of Ohio, versus Louisville, versus Stanford, versus Georgia Tech, versus Navy, versus Florida State, and they've got Virginia, Army, and USC left on their schedule. That's a terrible ass schedule.
Mm-hmm. Now, Miami is not perfect either. They have not really, the ACC is down. Miami has struggled against teams. They've relied on Cam Ward a lot to will them back into games and will them into wins.
Miami, Florida State's our commonality, so we go in between. Miami, Florida A&M. That Florida win looks better and better in my opinion. Ball State, South Florida. That South Florida win looks that's
a decent win. South Florida's not a bad team.
Virginia Tech, California, Louisville, Florida State.
Louisville's a good one.
Lost to Georgia Tech.
And that's a bad loss. Not as bad as NIU.
Like none of these teams are that special.
I don't understand how you look at Miami or Notre Dame and just it can outright be like, yeah, Notre Dame's better. Again, I don't know. These rankings make no sense. I think I look at both of those teams and I can clearly tell you Alabama, Mississippi, or Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia are all better than Notre Dame and Miami.
Beats the brakes off of them.
Yeah.
The best team in college football played
know.
On Saturday night in Baton Rouge.
You might be right. It certainly kind of looks that way. I don't think.
Now the trick will be, can they replicate
Yes.
that again?
I do not think that there's any team in this field of 12 that is saying, "Yeah, I'd be all right with playing Alabama."
Oh, what do you think those Indiana people thought?
They probably
They're
started.
sitting in Bloomington. They're sitting in Bloomington having beers. What PBR is probably is what they're probably doing up there. They're having beers on Tuesday night at their local bar. Hey, let's get ready for the playoff show, right? The Hoosiers, they're having a great year. Oh, undefeated.
We're gonna play Bama.
Alabama coming here.
Can we lose to Ohio State next week?
Now we're laughing.
It's a good Indiana team.
But yeah, what's the line on that? Alabama at 10, Alabama 9.
Probably. Yeah, probably 10.
Yeah. If you get out the Alabama team that played this past Saturday, what do they do to Indiana?
That team, I think, beats almost any team in
That'd
the
be a
country.
pretty ironic place. That'd be a pretty ironic place for Alabama to play its first round playoff game. Do you realize all the connections going on right there? Oh my gosh, it'll be so ironic.
With just Signetti in that,
ironic. Well, you also, that's a connection. Perfect. There's your one. But I think you might have about a dozen.
I mean, a lot of those players will find themselves in Indiana at the combine.
Sure.
I don't know.
All right. Where's Kalen DeBoer come from?
Okay, yeah.
Kalen DeBoer, offensive coordinator.
True. I forgot
who was
about
the defensive
that.
coordinator on that team?
Yeah,
Kane Womack, defensive coordinator. It was head coach. It was offensive coordinator. Kalen DeBoer, defensive coordinator. Kane Womack.
Mm-hmm.
It was strength and conditioning coach David Ballou. It was.
Boy, that would feel pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of just ancillary connections, obviously, that have come through that area. That'd be crazy.
That would.
Full circle. We're back at Indiana. We've brought Alabama to Indiana.
I can just see it now. You know,
that's a perfect story.
It's Kalen DeBoer, Kane Womack, and just look at us. Look at us now.
Remember, we were on the other sideline, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
that'd be great. I would love to go to Blue. I mean,
no.
I would love to go personally to see a game. Sure, whatever. But just
that's
I'd love
not
to
the
see
destination.
the Tide go to Bloomington.
No,
that'd be hilarious.
No, we want to go to Provo. We want to go to Happy Valley. We want to go.
I'll be all right with that.
We want to go to DKR. To South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah,
that's where we want to go.
I think Alabama pretty comfortably wins all three of those games.
Oh,
I don't want to go to DKR.
Austin.
Yeah, I'm okay. I don't love that.
It's gonna be Alabama, Texas in the SEC championship game. So what it's really gonna be is we'll see you guys in
Bryant-Denny East.
We'll see y'all in Atlanta or the Sugar Bowl. We'll see you in the Sugar Bowl for that first rounder. Little Big Easy.
I can get down with that.
Little Big Easy for Christmas. For New Year's.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Alabama enjoys their time down in the Big Easy.
Yeah, what do you think? I bet you it's pretty good. Alabama Sugar Bowl history. I bet you it's pretty dadgum good. Alabama Sugar Bowl history. 16 times. 16 times. What do you call them? Where's my quick record?
I know one time in particular they quite enjoyed themselves down there.
92.
That was a good one. Maybe 2012? Is that the
They lost to Oklahoma in a Sugar Bowl right there.
Oh, I do remember that one. Was that Trevor Knight?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, what a
2022. They beat the brakes off of Kansas State. All right. So, yeah, win over Kansas State, win over Clemson in 2018, lost to Ohio State in 15. Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, never forget that one.
You get the loss to Trevor Knight, right? 2009, you get the loss to Utah. Then 92 win over Miami. 1990 you get a loss to Miami.
So maybe the Sugar Bowl's not been as kind to us as I thought.
Alabama over Arkansas in 80. Alabama over Penn State in 79. Alabama over Ohio State in 78. Alabama over Penn State in 75. Notre Dame over Alabama in 73. Alabama over Nebraska in 67, and so there's only a couple more, right? Alabama over Ole Miss, Alabama over Arkansas. So you're about 50-50. Okay. You started off well, but you had a couple of these hiccups lately.
Yeah, boy, those are some bad memories thinking about some of those games. That Utah that Ezekiel Elliott, the Trevor Knight, brings up bad memories.
Our friend Julian, who's watching us on the Facebook, and you can too, chiming in saying, "Hey, Choke Gaither, tell him not to let the door hit him on his butt. Go eat popcorn with Lane Kiffin. Talk about Caleb Cunningham." That's right. Hey, he's gonna be having that popcorn, and Alabama will be just fine.
Yeah, he'll look nice in the powder blue.
Yeah, he will. He will.
Everybody's hard not to.
What else you got on the playoffs? Anything else? I have a problem just with Georgia dropping out. That's
it doesn't. I don't get it.
Like Georgia, you go on the road to tell. Yes, you lost to Ole Miss, you lost to Alabama. Those are 2 losses. You got to count those. But
if you're gonna rank Texas at 3rd, then by that same metric, Georgia has the
a really
best
good
win in the country potentially, other than maybe Oregon over Ohio State.
Yeah, you went into Austin and pounced them.
How do they? Yeah, I don't understand how they get dropped out of this field.
We just didn't have the Big Ten and SEC Invitational 6 and 6. Let's go.
Yeah, because it's just so blatantly clear that these 2 conferences are just miles above the rest of the others. I mean, like, does anyone?
We'll go 5-5.
Is there one person that genuinely sits here and looks at this playoff field and says, "Oh yeah, BYU, they belong"? I mean, come on. It doesn't make it.
The people in Provo.
I don't even think they think that.
Who know they got away with a bad call. Yeah. How about that AD?
That was
Utah AD
wild.
Comes up post game. If you didn't see it, well, I've never seen this in my life. Goes up in post game and basically says, "We know we got
hosed.
The officials messed us over tonight," kind of thing. Imagine Greg Byrne comes up, follows Kalen DeBoer, and just says, "I have something to say about this game." Like, can you
please never do that?
My jaw in that room would be on the floor. I would be.
You think any reporters tried to raise their hand and get a question in for him?
Maybe. I'd be like, "Greg, don't do this. Don't."
Greg, just turn around, buddy. It's okay.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
No,
it was crazy. He said
I went back and watched.
We were happy to be in the Big 12 until tonight.
That bad of a call.
It was.
I mean, it was questionable, sure, but I don't know. I saw some other angles of it, not the broadcast angle, other angles from people.
It wasn't a holding.
It was. I don't know. I thought it could go on either way. I think. I did see one very interesting tweet about it that someone put out, and he was. I don't know
if I was a Big 10 or
I don't
Big 12.
know if he was a Big 12 rules expert or like a Gene Steratore type role somewhere. The NFL, the rules expert kind of deal. But he was tweeting about it. And he said he went through he has the all 22 film. He watched every play from that game because people were all you saw all night was, even if it is a hold, how can you make that call in that moment? How can you make it right then? You haven't been calling it all night. He watched every play from that game, not once. This is according to him, so take it with a grain of salt, I guess. But he said not once was there a single instance of anything remotely close to what happened on that play that went uncalled. So you can take that and shove it. People try to come back. Well, how do you even? He has the ultimate. He saw it. I thought it was an okay call. I saw a couple angles that really did. Yes, it could have gone both ways. Absolutely ridiculous for the AD to get out there and make such a blanket we got shafted statement, whatever. Just ridiculous because you really didn't. Maybe you shouldn't have put yourself in that position. You're the they were number 5 at that point.
Utah or
no
BYU? Yeah, they were in there. Yeah.
Maybe don't put yourself in a position to lose to an unranked team, and then you don't have to complain about it.
Oh, no, Utah did the complaining.
Or sorry, yes.
Because they thought they were going to pull off a historic upset. No, it's fine. But you know what I would do? Because he came up there and said, "Oh, we were happy to be in the Big 12 until tonight." You know what I would say? Hey, buddy, you can go be on your own island. You can go back to the Mountain West. Go see if the 2-team Pac-12 will take you. Get the bleep out of my conference. If you ain't happy to be here, we can go find ourselves, Utah State. We'll swap you out for Utah State. How about that? That's what I would do.
We've got to. Something's got to be figured out here. Big 12, you don't belong anymore. Sorry. It's the Big 10 and the SEC's show to run.
All right, let's keep it going right here on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com, broadcasting live in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. You can call Derek at 205-758-3391. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. I have 3 more topics. We got to get to them here in just a little bit. We're going to talk about Brayson Hubbard and Keon Sabb. We mentioned it just briefly on Monday. All right. Who's better?
Mm-hmm.
Keon Sabb
I have a hard
was
time answering
electric in week 1 and was pretty good through the rest of the weeks until he got hurt. Obviously, you have to commend him for his effort and for what he played through a really tough situation and broke his foot even further. Is what it sounded like against Tennessee. Ben Bracing Hubbard comes in, and the Alabama defense has not missed a beat. The Alabama defense, in fact, has taken a step up in play.
Spark plug.
It's not necessarily, I wouldn't say Bray's fault, but he's absolutely a part of the 11-man unit. So who's better? Bray's got 3 interceptions now, or 2 interceptions
3,
now.
I believe.
He's got
2. Sorry,
he got the one in this past game, and he got one in the Missouri game.
He's got 2 picks. This is a hard question to answer because I think there is very obviously a reason that Keon Sabb started the season. I think I trust the football minds in the Alabama facility to have made the correct decision on who they were going to put out on the field, on who was better. So I think that's, point to Keon Sabb there. He was chosen to be the starter. However, I do think Brayson Hubbard coming in off of the bench and maybe being a guy that people did not necessarily expect to play as well as he has brought another, kind of a certain juice about it that maybe Keon Sabb did not have. I think he's got the rest of the defense almost playing at a higher level because they're excited for their guy who's playing so well.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an element of, hey, we're not surprised.
No, but it's like this guy.
Impressed by him.
Yes.
Oh, man, Bray comes in and he's balling out. Let's all be balling out because
I think that is something that's definitely an aspect of it. Now, I don't know that that necessarily can be attributed to him being a better player. I think that's more of just, that's a result of the situation that they have just been presented with. But I do think that is a large portion of why it feels like maybe the defense has kind of taken a step since he got in.
When Keon comes back, maybe around that SEC championship game time.
Interesting questions to answer.
Yeah, I think that you're going to have even more versatility because right now you got a little bit of a small problem at Husky. You're kind of you guys remember it as Star from Coach Saban's day. Yeah, a small problem at Husky right now because Devontae Smith's been dealing with different injuries, this, that, and the other. Red Morgan, freshman, good player, inexperienced. Just a little inexperienced there. Yeah. And so you brought in Deshaun Jones this past week, played a lot of Husky after Devontae Smith went out. Yeah, a little problem there. If you get Keon Sabb back, I think he'd be fine for that role. I think that it gives you more depth. Not that anybody's coming off the field. I just think that it allows you to keep rotating these guys. So just a real okay, if you had to pick one today, do you want me to go first? Do you want to go first?
I'll go first. Give me. I'm gonna go with my gut. He was chosen to be a starter for a reason. I'll take Keon Sabb.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the right answer, but like, I know it's in my brain. The recency bias, bias in my brain says, "Oh, he's such a bad dude. Oh, he's been breaking up these passes. He's got all this instinct about him." What I like about Bray Hubbard is the way that he's really filling in on the run game. Really,
he's not afraid to get his head in there.
Yeah, so we'll see how he does over the last 3 weeks. Hopefully, finishes strong, and they can work Keon Sabb back in where they need to. All right, Mason, did you spend some time watching any Mercer Bears?
I didn't look into Mercer Bears a whole lot. I did a little box score watching. That's about it.
That's all. I mean, come on. It's an FCS school. Look, I did watch several of the games that they played against other FCS schools. This will be their first FBS game of the whole year. And their bye games, I don't even know if they had a bye game. They played Bethune-Cookman. They played Presbyterian out of conference.
I feel like that's rare for them. I
agree.
See Mercer a lot playing in these bye games.
They played Princeton out of conference as well. Ivy League school in the FCS.
They're trying to build something down there.
Right. So, yes, this will be a massive step up. They're 9-1. They're ranked, 12th, I think, in the country. 5th or 12th. I can't remember. Maybe they're ranked 5th, but they're ranked really high. They're leading the SoCon. They're ranked 12th. They're leading the SoCon, but they're projected to get the 5th overall seed. That's right, in the playoffs due to just conference standings. They're really going to struggle physically up front against Alabama. And any FCS team will.
Yeah, I think that's a given.
But they lead the FCS in interceptions, 21 interceptions on the year. They're second overall in FCS in turnover margin. So they're not giving the ball away that much. They're getting the ball on interception. They scored 8 non-offensive touchdowns.
Very impressive.
4 on defense, 4 from their punt return unit, 3 returns, 1 with a block punt. So I hear all this. I watch some of their film. I watch some of their play. They got decent skill position guys, but nobody that's going to say, "Oh, we got to watch out for that guy. That Joker's going to be a real." Nobody like that. The quarterback's okay, but looks like if it's all about the offensive line and the defensive line. They're physically deficient up front against what Alabama's going to bring. Yeah. So the thought that comes into my head is the only way you lose this game, the only way this game becomes uncomfortably close. I really think there's no way that you lose, but the only way that it becomes uncomfortably close is, do you have some of these havoc plays go the wrong way? We all remember your first drive, your first or second pass against Vanderbilt. Ball caroms off Ryan Williams' shoulder pad, goes into Vanderbilt's hands. It's a pick 6 before you even blink your eye. Same sort of thing. You're driving down the field, and boom, strip sack, fumble, comeback is over. You haven't given up any blocks in the return game this year, and you've only given up a couple of bigger. LSU had a nice kick return, but in the punt return game, you've been fine. So really, Jalen Milroe, just take care of the dang football and get out of the game by the middle of the third quarter. Let Ty Simpson carry us to victory. Let's see a little Austin Mack. Let's see a little Dylan Lonergan, somebody like that. What do you think about the Mercer Bears and what they're running into?
I think you said it right there. It's clear that they are not going to beat Alabama physically. Alabama is going to win the game, win the physical matchup. They're going to win the matchup in the trenches. We can go ahead and you can tattoo that on your forehead. Like, that's going to happen this weekend. But the skill positions and the other aspects, the other phases of the game, the special teams and things like that, that's where maybe in these types of matchups, you can have those havoc plays, and that's where you can maybe make the difference. I think that's the only place you can maybe make the difference. So as long as Alabama can just play sound football, do all the fundamentals well, not make any stupid turnovers, don't try to force the ball anywhere, just take it easy, just have a nice calm Saturday. Yeah, they'll cruise. I mean, it should be no problem. I think, like you said, the only issues that can arise is if something crazy happens, if some player on a wing or a gunner or something on a punt goes down and gets a strip, or if blocks a punt or just anything like that. That's about the only hope that Mercer has, is that something crazy can happen.
I looked last night. I could not find a line for this game. I'm sure there will be one on Saturday. I guess probably like 56 or something crazy. So let's just move right on to our 3 players to watch, because there's not much more to get into with Mercer. And I think this is going to be much more about Alabama than anything else. And so I will I'll take the lowest hanging fruit there is, and think that Jalen Milroe has to have you got a line?
I did find
63.
Alabama 41.5. Over under 57.5.
Yeah, I'll take the 41.5. I'll take Alabama minus the points. I'll take Jalen as my first one, just because I think that you got to follow up last week's performance.
Agreed.
And stay clean, keep everybody moving. If you play efficiently like you did last week, then this game will be an absolute cakewalk, and everybody will be over at Gillette's by 6:30 enjoying their yellow hammers. So Jalen's my number 1. I haven't given a ton of thought to this, really. My number 2, with that, let me just take Tyler Booker because of the run game.
That's what I was kind of thinking also.
Mr. Tyler Booker, and really even his counterpart, Jaden Roberts. I would give Jaden Roberts an entire week off. They said he was ready to go and come back into the LSU game, but give him the week off and let's let Gino Vandermark notch himself a start.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to go with my player to watch, was Gino Vandermark.
Okay, all right, good.
I was, I'm hoping maybe they do take that look across the field and say, all right, guys, we're playing Mercer. Jaden, go sit yourself down, have you a nice, easy week, and get Gino Vandermark in the game because, I think I'm just interested to see what he can do if he gets a full game a full game under his belt because we have only seen him in short little spurts here and there, spelling Jaden Roberts because he's been dealing with injuries throughout the season. So, if you just give him time to maybe get healthy this week and then tell Gino to go out there, I would like to see that.
My number 3, I'm taking Tim Smith. Because I think that he recovered the fumble last week for the John Campbell strip. In a game like this, we talked about the physicality. I think Alabama's really going to have a huge edge right there, and I think he's going to probably make a havoc play this week.
I would agree with that.
So I'll go Milroe. What a stinky low hanging fruit answer. I'll go Milroe, Tyler Booker, and I will go with
Tim Smith.
Tim Smith. Thank you. Excuse me.
I'll take. Give me Richard Young. Give me Richard Young again this week.
Gino Vandermark, Richard Young.
I think I maybe picked Richard Young last week, maybe the week before, to be somebody who maybe get a little bit of shine. I think he had against Missouri? He had a big run, got a little bit of love against LSU last week late in the game, and I think this week, hopefully, he will get in the game a little sooner than he did against LSU and have more opportunities to maybe impress us even more. Third, let me go. Give me Ty Simpson.
Man, I should have taken your
Ty
strategy.
Ty Simpson. He's going to get in the game he might even start the whole second half. Might even play right coming out of halftime. You might see Ty Simpson. So give me the Tennessee Wonder Boy himself.
I should have taken your strategy. You took all the guys that have fresh opportunities.
That's what I was thinking.
Good strategy. You really crushed last week's 3 players to watch. So maybe you need to follow Mason Woods this week and keep an eye on Ty Simpson, Richard Young, and Gino Vandermark. Had a lot of fun on Thursday hanging out with you guys on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com. We're going to be having more fun on the Bama Central YouTube channel in just a little bit, having Nate Oates' press conference before the guys head up to Purdue. We're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow on a Football Friday. We will send the bat signal out to Katie Wyndham and to Hunter DeCiver and to see who else wants to play on Football Friday. We want you to play with us on Football Friday. Subscribe to the Bama Central YouTube channel or to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Amazon. The Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. We had a lot of fun today hanging out in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. You can call Derek for all your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. We'll get out of here for the day and be back tomorrow with a Football Friday edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.